what should I expect once I'm in there?
Yeah, so listen, an appraisal, you should never be walking into an appraisal with trepidation or concern. If there have been any issues that have been taking place over, the course of your appraisal period, those issues should have been nipped in the bud by your line manager. It should not be coming up in your appraisal. There's a reason as well why praise makes up appraisal. It should be a positive experience, reflecting on the last few months, however long that appraisal period is, and more importantly, looking into the future. What do you need to be doing in order to hit the next sort of promotion or the next pay rise? But it should always be a positive thing, met from both sides.
Should I expect good things out of my appraisal?
Yeah, absolutely. Appraisals should always be a positive thing. You should always come away with some really good key action points for the future. Look, at the end of the day, a partner would not want to lose you. They want to keep their staff happy. It would be very costly to lose you. So they'll be doing everything to try and keep you retained and try and keep you happy within the business. But with that said, partners have to also be very honest with how you're performing. And if you haven't received that pay rise or that promotion, it's very likely there will be very credible reasons why you haven't. But what you want to be able to do is to talk to your line manager or partner as to, okay, if I haven't hit it this time, what can I really be doing? What's the time frame to be able to get that next step up, to get those rewards next time?
Do I bring up pay rise in my appraisal?
So your line manager will be anticipating the subject of money to come up. We all do. And again, it's something that's obviously already been factored into your overall appraisal. We're often asked the question, should I be asking about pay and, my future sort of pay rises before my appraisal? Should I say something afterwards, during? If you feel like this is a topic that is relevant and important to you right now, I would bring it up in your appraisal. However, going back to your preparation, your self-management, you should be aware by your appraisal point as to, have I hit all of the criteria in order to get that next pay rise or that promotion? And I think that there's definitely an element of being quite self-aware and honest with yourself in terms of whether you have managed to hit those key criteria points. And listen, at the end of the day, whoever you're reporting into, no one wants to have conflict, within an appraisal or any kind of meeting, and they'll want it to be a positive experience from both sides.
Or start looking for a new job.
I would always recommend, don't do anything on a knee-jerk reaction. And we've all been there, where you've had a discussion with your line manager and you come out just feeling a bit rubbish. What I would always recommend, and I know it's easier said than done, depending on what the relationship is like between you and your line manager, just air those concerns in the appraisal. Say, look, this isn't the pay rise that I was expecting, or actually I would have thought that I would have been at this point of my career by this point, or I would have had exposure to this type of work. Be as honest as you can be in the appraisal. It will go so much further later down the line. What you don't want to do is harbour those sort of resentments later on, and do any sort of knee-jerk reactions in terms of, potentially even looking out into the market.
And if you're not happy with the outcome of your appraisal, what are the next steps? What do I do now?
So after you've aired all of these concerns with whoever it is that you report into, the next step would be obviously to come and speak to an expert like us here at ProTax, and we can give you information in terms of what the market looks like with salaries, and also we'll be very honest with you in terms of perhaps you're not actually ready to take that next step up, in terms of level of seniority, or actually, yes, it sounds like you've been overlooked, and you are ready to take that next step up. But yeah, I would always recommend not doing anything, make any decisions that are led by your emotions, in those early days. Do your research. Do not waste your own time and others later down the line by starting to interview with firms and sending your CV out to the market because you're essentially, gutted about your last appraisal. Make sure that you have done your research to see if that appraisal is in line with what the market is saying right now. Because what you don't want to do is then get to the point of interviewing, being offered a position, then go and hand in your notice, and your line manager saying, well, I had no idea that you had any of these concerns. Why didn't you raise them at the appraisal point? And that's a really key thing is, you know, you might just find that actually you don't want to leave your current firm, you know, and those concerns could have been handled far sooner in the process.